The end is in the beginning. Gojo's foreshadowing. Since Gege has an habit of bringing characters back to life, I observed it carefully, and this is what I found. First was Yuji, and then Gojo was one of them who seemed to be defeated, then returned without a scratch. When Gojo quotes Buddha, it solidifies Gojo's close proximity to a person who believes in reincarnations, which is why I never believed Gojo was supposed to be removed from the story for good at any point in time. No, this is not copium. This is common sense and logic. Buddha was believed to be reincarnated several times as different people, and when Gojo quotes Buddha, it is like a foreshadowing of him coming back in some sense, whether Yuta was in his body or not. So when Yuta took his body, it made sense to all the real Gojo fans. The reason why Gojo fans seem to be coping so hard is because Gojo Satoru is not Romeo from Romeo and Juliet. Gojo Satoru has made a statement that's only a bit short of saying that he is not human and that he is a god. Romeo was never made out to be as strong as Gojo at any point, and as a writer I know what foreshadowing looks like, and Gege uses foreshadowing well, and he also knows how to play with the heartstrings of the fans. He also uses irony. What you think is copium from Gojo fans was only us acting on the information that Gege gave us, and smelling the comeback of Gojo Satoru, whether it was a true reincarnation or not. It was not copium, it was us feeling his presence through every page of the manga that he wasn't even present in. Because the way Gege Akutami wrote it, we could sense Gojo coming back. Again, you say Gojo fans are coping hard, but what if I tell you that Gege created this mentally in the Gojo fans by using foreshadowing, constantly putting it in our minds that Gojo is the strongest, and he had yet to prove to us that someone is stronger than Gojo. Yes, Gojo lost, but even when Gojo was removed, they kept highlighting how strong he was and how Yuta still couldn't do what he did. Does this still sound like copium, or is everything making sense now? This is not copium. This is us following the messages that Gege has put into our mind. He told us that Gojo was the strongest, and he showed us that Gojo was the strongest. So how is it copium? If we actually believe that Gojo is the strongest, that is what the author wants us to believe, so we believe it. Gojo survived in horrible conditions before, and the cherry on top was him quoting Buddha, a man that doesn't even believe in death in the same way most of us do, and Gojo quotes him. Yet Gojo fans are dumb if they say he will come back, and when he literally comes back, we are still told we are using copium because Yuta is in his body. Gojo Satoru came back. Whether that was Yuta or not, that was Gojo's body and Gojo's power. Don't you understand why real Gojo fans never truly believed he was gone? Use your common sense. It's not always about copium and just being obsessed with his looks. If I was going to remove a character that was as important and impactful as Gojo from my story for good, I would never make him quote Buddha, unless I was trying to fool my audience, because even if I don't believe in reincarnation, the character has now made a subtle hint to reincarnation, and he's also now made a statement that makes him seem to liken himself less to a human and more to God. How do you want Gojo fans to move on from Gojo when the show had not truly moved on from him? Why would Yuta use Gojo's body if we're supposed to forget Gojo Satoru and move on? Yuta has 5 minutes in Gojo's body, and Gojo has an eternity in the hearts of the fans. Imagine I created a character so strong, and the only other person who would ever be as strong as him has to use his body to fight the villain. Ain't that twisted? Isn't that giving Gojo is important and needed? It's literally giving. We still need Gojo to win. Sukuna is Gojo's enemy, so the ghetto's body used against Gojo scenario isn't the same as this. So why did they use Gojo's body in this situation? If you said power, then you just proved the whole point of the Gojo fans, and you just unlocked your own enlightenment. Gojo is so valuable that even after being removed from the anime, they literally had to use his body to fight the villain, and that's not even all they're telling us as the readers. They also tell us that Yuta cannot do it as good as Gojo. When they said Yuta couldn't replace Gojo, that was foreshadowing the fact that Yuta would replace Gojo, whether he would be a good replacement or not, and when Gojo said he was the honored one, that was foreshadowing his reincarnation or comeback. Again, Gege Akutami is an author, and he also uses irony. The irony of Gojo being the strongest and still losing a fight, and the irony of someone saying Yuta can't replace Gojo only for Yuta to later replace Gojo, proves that irony and foreshadowing are constantly used by the author of Jujutsu Kaisen. A lot of these writing techniques are used by authors to throw off the reader and remain unpredictable. But at the end of the day, all you need to do is to go back to the start of the story and find out who the character is at his core. Because the end is in the beginning, and the beginning is in the end. You just watched The End is in the Beginning, Gojo's Foreshadowing, by Chocolate Senpai. I hope you now understand Gojo fans, and if you're already a Gojo fan, just know that you are valid and Gojo is always going to be the strongest in our eyes. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a comment to let me know what you thought about my words on Gojo's foreshadowing.